Hi, you made it to my channel, Anish Gaming Hub. In my first video of the Hummer H2, that was the full review, and I'm just continuing here. I only use the Hummer H2 in Alaska. Obviously, if you watch my review, I actually do sell this truck after Alaska, but I did use it in Alaska. I practiced with it. I got upgrades, scouting. I use it as a fuel carrier, fuel rescue truck, just to deal with the fuel carriers that you get for free in Alaska. I just used it for that reason, and of course they did the scouting upgrades, whatever it could handle. I did equip mud tires on this one. I think it's 39-inch, the highest it allows. In another playthrough I did use chain tires with it, but regardless of what you do, in my opinion it was an inferior truck, but I did of course still finish with it. And so here's some footage of me going through Alaska. I think the best strategy for tires with this truck is use chain tires if you're going to use it, if you're going to keep it in your fleet. Although if you watch my review, unless you're playing on hard mode, I don't see any reason why you should keep this truck. Right? If you're playing on any other setting, you can check my new game rules and see like a good balance of challenge and fun. But essentially, if you're not playing on hard mode, I see no reason why you would keep this truck. But you know, you can. It's up to you. And if you do, I would recommend that in Alaska, just use chain tires and then switch to mud tires for, you know, other maps where, you know, it's not full snow and everything. There are some advantages for some maps here with this kind of truck. Lighter trucks can do better. I'm not sure if it sinks in the ice, thin ice, but some trucks don't because they're so light. Chevrolet Apache being one of them. So with this truck, yeah, I recommend you just using chain tires. Now, you do go off the main road with this truck, especially if you're going to use it for scouting. But I would keep it off the road. Now, I was using it, I was practicing with it, and it was, of course, it was the first time that I'd used the Hummer H2, so obviously I didn't know about the strengths and weaknesses, so I used it for Alaska. I used it as a support scout, but even as a main scout in some areas. So in hindsight, I wouldn't go through it again. It's just too much struggle with this truck. This is even with mud tires. So this is the best you're going to do off-road and in the mud or in deep snow, and still it's just absolutely terrible. So you might as well just go with the chain tires. That way at least you got more grip. So whenever you're going up the road or uphill on the road, and whenever you're maybe going a little fast, it's never good to go fast, especially with this truck. It just loses control easily. So with just a short turning radius and everything else about this truck, the feedback, terrain feedback. So what I would recommend is just use chain tires. It'll really help you with control on the road, and of course going uphill, you don't have to winch or anything like that. And then just stay away from heavy off-road and leave that for another one of your scout trucks. So that's what I would do if I had to do it again, to the Alaska region. And of course just sell it. But it did some good things, and I did some good things, especially you can check my review, the full review video. I did it there, and then of course this is the rest of the footage for my time in Alaska with the Hummer H2 in SnowRunner. What happened with this truck is GMC took over, obviously, and this is the first Hummer they designed. Hummer H1 was basically a military version truck military truck that they made a civilian version of. Then, of course, they took out what GMC came in, and they took out a lot of the ruggedness and off-roading capabilities, the military ruggedness, and they turned it into a luxury SUV with some off-roading capabilities. And so in a hardcore off-roading game like SnowRunner, it's in the wrong place. Unfortunately, it's out of place here, and that's the only reason why we struggle so much with these Hummer H2, especially in the deep mud and deep snow. Doesn't have I think tire size is an issue, and more than that, I think it's more the ground clearance, or lack thereof, actually. So Hummer H2, fun to drive in many ways, and probably would be definitely in real life, as long as you use it for light off-roading. But this game is anything but light off-roading. There's no such thing as light off-roading in SnowRunner. If you want to complete any map, even the earlier maps, it's not light off-roading. To complete all the assignments. Some assignments you can get away with some light off-roading, but most assignments you need heavy off-roading. So that's it. That's this truck. I do recommend watch the original review so you get all the details of the Hummer H2. In this one, I just show some of the extra footage that I had for Alaska. So that's it for this review. Don't forget to give me a like, share, subscribe, and do watch the original review video for the Hummer H2. Thanks for watching. Niche Gaming signing off.